Welcome back. Today, we're talking about something that's increasingly important in today's beautifully multicultural society. How do you blend two different faith traditions in one household, one relationship, one life, and do it respectfully, authentically, without creating inclusion varnishing or forcing uniformity? This comes up for interfaith couples, for people who've left one tradition and are exploring another, for families navigating multiple spiritual paths under one roof other people as well. And most interfaith advice gets it wrong because they're focused on compromise instead of unity. I'm Sarah. I'm a Kabbalist, and I've mapped over 40 spiritual and religious traditions to the tree of life. What I've learned from that work is that blending traditions isn't about finding the lowest common denominator, it's about understanding the patterns underneath so you can honor both paths fully. Let's talk about how to do that. Here's the typical interfaith advice: find what you agree on, celebrate the similarities, focus on common ground, meet in the middle. And that all sounds really nice. It also completely misses the point. When you focus only on similarities, you end up with inclusion varnishing, surface level gestures that look like both traditions are honored, and actually neither tradition is fully present. You get happy holidays energy, where Christmas is still centered and everyone else gets aesthetic acknowledgement at best without structural inclusion. Or you get the Chrismica approach, where you mash two traditions together until they're both so watered down that nobody's spiritual needs are actually met. The menorah sits next to the Christmas tree, and everyone pretends that's the same as genuine respect for both traditions. The other common approach is alternating your tradition this year, mine next year. Or your holy days get celebrated, mine get acknowledged. One person's faith gets the living room, the other person gets the bedroom. Again, inclusion varnishing. One tradition dominates the shared space, the other tradition stays private and minimized. None of this is actual blending. This is compromising that leaves everyone spiritually hungry and feeling at least a little bit erased. Real blending requires understanding what I call unity versus uniformity. And that distinction changes everything. Unity is not sameness. Unity is the recognition that different paths can coexist, complement each other, even strengthen each other, without any of them pretending something they're not. This is what my work, mapping 40 plus spiritual traditions to the tree of life, demonstrates. We're teaching related patterns using different frameworks. The patterns connect. That's unity. The practices, beliefs, and expressions are genuinely different, and that matters. Uniformity says, let's make everything the same so there's no conflict. Let's find what we agree on and ignore what we don't. Let's create one blended tradition that draws from both, but doesn't actually fully honor either one. Unity says, these are two different paths. Both are valid. Both have integrity. Both deserve to be fully present. Our job isn't to blend them into one path. Our job is to create space for both paths to exist fully in one shared life. Think about nature. A healthy ecosystem doesn't work by making all the species the same. It works through biodiversity, different species with different roles, different needs, different ways of being. Real diversity means genuine differences that affect how the system functions. That's what you're creating when you blend faith traditions, not uniformity. An ecosystem where different spiritual practices coexist, each maintaining their integrity, each contributing to the whole. So, how do you actually do that? Well, the Tree of Life gives us a map for this. Not because everyone needs to become a Kabbalist, you don't. It's the framework I use because the tree maps universal patterns that show up across traditions. When you understand where traditions intersect on the tree, you understand how they can coexist without erasing each other. Here's what I mean. Every spiritual tradition is teaching people how to navigate the human experience, how to move from separation to connection, from chaos to meaning, from suffering to growth, from disconnected to wholeness. The tree of life maps that navigation process. Different traditions map to the tree in different ways. Some use the Sephirot under different names and with different emphasis. Some look more at the worlds, aka the levels of existence, or the pillars, aka balancing forces. Ultimately, they're all trying to help humans navigate the chaos of being a soul trapped in a body. When you're blending two traditions, you're not trying to make them the same. You're recognizing that they might be emphasizing different aspects of the same underlying map. For example, if one partner practices Buddhism, which emphasizes inner work, meditation, releasing attachment, lots of Bina energy, lots of inward focus, and the other practices Christianity, which emphasizes community service, outward love, lots of Chesed energy, lots of outward action, they're not in opposition. They're working with different parts of the tree. The question isn't, how do we compromise between meditation and service? The question is, how do we create a household where both inner work and outward service are honored, where contemplation and community both have space? That's unity. Both traditions maintain their integrity, both practices happen fully, and the household becomes richer because it's integrating multiple parts of the tree instead of collapsing everything into one narrow path. So here's how you actually do this. Step one, map what each tradition actually needs, not aesthetically, structurally. Don't just think about holidays and rituals. Think about time, space, community, practice. Does one tradition require daily prayer, Sabbath observance, dietary practices, community gatherings, meditation time, seasonal celebrations? Get really specific. You can't honor what you haven't named. Step two, create space for both traditions to exist fully, not alternating, not compromising, not minimizing. This might mean the Shabbat table happens every week with full ritual, and Christmas is celebrated fully with the tree. Traditions remain intact, not Jewish holidays in the fall, Christian holidays in winter, both fully. Or morning meditation practice happens daily for one person, and evening prayer practice happens daily for the other person. So it's not, let's meditate together sometimes, even though that might be nice. Each person's practice is fully honored. Step three, educate each other and your kids if you have them about why each practice matters. This isn't about convincing anyone to convert. This is about understanding. When you understand that Shabbat isn't just a day off, but a practice of sacred rest that teaches something essential about being human, you can honor it even if you don't practice it yourself. When you understand that Christmas isn't just gift giving day, but a celebration of incarnation and of divine becoming human, you can make space for its full meaning, even if you don't share the theology. Understanding creates respect. Respect creates space, and space allows both traditions room to breathe. Step four, watch out for inclusion varnishing and call it out when it happens. If one tradition is getting living room space and the other is staying hidden in the bedroom, that's inclusion varnishing, unless it's supposed to be in the bedroom. If one person's holy days get family gatherings and the other person's get a card, that's inclusion varnishing. If kids learn all about one tradition and get cultural education or nothing about the other, that's inclusion varnishing. Real respect means both traditions get structural space, not just aesthetic acknowledgement. And speaking of kids, people always want to know, but what about the kids? Won't this confuse them? No. Kids aren't confused by genuine diversity. Kids get confused by hypocrisy and inclusion varnishing. If you're genuinely honoring both traditions, teaching both, practicing both, creating space for both, kids learn there are multiple valid ways to connect with the divine. They learn respect for differences. They learn that unity doesn't require uniformity. What confuses kids is when you say Both traditions are equal, but one tradition dominates all the shared space, while the other stays private and minimized. Kids see through that immediately, so don't confuse them. Honor both traditions fully. Let them see what genuine respect for difference actually looks like. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Blending faith traditions isn't about compromise. It's not about finding the middle ground or creating one hybrid path that honors neither tradition fully. It's about unity, creating space for genuine difference, honoring the integrity of each path, building an ecosystem where multiple ways of connecting with the divine can coexist, not by becoming the same, by recognizing that different expressions can strengthen each other. The tree of life shows us this is possible. Nature shows us this is essential. And when you do it well, everyone becomes more themselves, not less. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more content on navigating spirituality without gatekeepers, guilt, or dogma. And if you're navigating this on your own, I'm here to support you. Check out my website for additional resources, and thanks for watching.